Maya. Oh my God. I can't believe you're listening to this song.
I mean, it's rough out here. Join me on the dance floor, the virtual one.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Let's get super gay today on Live and Queer.
Welcome to Live and Queer, QCC's Queer Arts Show. I'm your host, Maya Chinchilla, and today I'll be talking to QCC's Executive Director Extraordinaire, Natalia Vigil. Natalia has been with QCC for 2 years, but she got an offer she couldn't refuse. So she's moving on to other things later this month. I'm really excited we're going to have a conversation before she goes. Today is also the last episode of Live and Queer Season 1. Can you believe that we've done a whole entire season already? After today's show, we're going to take a break while we strategize about Season 2. Comment with who you want to see, or even if you want to see a Season 2 in the comments. And while you're there, make sure to like, share, subscribe, because we all need to do our part to feed the social media beast. But enough of that. I want to know what's up with Natalia, and you want to know what's up with Natalia. So let's bring her on, everybody, and find out. Natalia Vigil, everyone.
Hi, Maya. So awesome to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad we could finally do this and sit down. But first, we have a little surprise for you. So, thank you, Natalia Vigil. You're leaving soon and we got the feels. You let us through, you're the boss we would all want. And 'cause you're kind of arty, you came to us at QCC. We all agree you'll always be a VIP. So we all just want to say thank you, Natalia Vigil.
Aww.
You want a little cheesecake and a chat? Gather
That's
round.
amazing. I actually have that song memorized too. It's like one of the theme songs that I've loved since I was a child. So that means a lot to me.
Oh, that's great. I mean, do you like cheesecake?
I love cheesecake.
Good, because I hope we can get some cheese today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, that was awesome.
Only recorded it 467 times.
We all agree. We all agree. We all agree.
All right, so now that we've shared a little special song dedicated just to you, I want to get into it. I want to talk to you a little bit about, your time at QCC, and especially the reason why you're moving on. Tell us about the exciting news.
Sure. I mean, I've had the incredible chance to be QCC's first executive director, following the legacy of the founders. And this happened, during the pandemic. So it's been a pretty incredible experience. And I have the chance now to continue to build my relationships with artists and the impact that I have by moving over to the Walter Annalise Haas Fund. And I'm going to be a program lead there, essentially leading the grant making for the arts. So, it's a little bit different, but I'm still going to be part of the arts kind of infrastructure of the Bay Area, and just like being a cheerleader for all of the artists. So that's where I'll be, and that's what I'll be doing. And, I've been a QCC artist for a long time, and then with Still Here is part of QCC's larger family. And so I just feel like I'm moving into another form of being part of QCC's large, arts family.
Yeah, that's such a big deal, honestly, because, it takes a lot not only to be an artist, to all the behind the scenes. So, I mean, I think I speak for everyone who's been working with you at QCC that we are just so happy to have worked with you and learned from you, and also excited for this new move. We all agree.
Thank you.
It's just been so great that you have been such a positive, force in this time, and it's been really great to be able to be in communication with someone who's really positive and assuring and also really grounded. And so I really have appreciated that. I want to get more of the tea
Okay.
as
well,
possible.
I'm a Capricorn.
Oh,
So there's
what does that mean?
We can't not talk about astrology in terms of the groundedness and things like that. A little bit of tea, a little bit of Capricorn, a little bit of Scorpio rising, and some
Ooh.
Leo moon. So I feel like we all love to talk about astrology in the Bay.
That makes so much sense. Also because you're a big sister too. You got like big sister energy.
Oh yeah.
So like yes, the Scorpio, the Capricorn, I love it. I love it. I think that makes sense. I don't know. They should put that in the call for the next EDD, maybe like certain, we have to balance the chart of the people.
Earth there, Yeah.
Right, exactly. But you come to QCC as an artist, right? Yes. You're a writer. I know you as a writer, mostly of nonfiction. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like how you came to, writing and also presenting your work in the world?
I feel like I'm one of those folks who is like, well, I've always been writing my whole life, It's been a huge passion. And my dad really encouraged me to write in a journal when I was little. So I have poems from when I was like 4 or 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. And then I really loved poetry, and my grandmother passed away when I was in my early 20s. And it really made me think about what I wanted for myself and for my life. And I realized that writing was my passion and I wanted to pursue it. But I didn't have any idea of what that really was going to look like and what it meant to kind of be a poet. And so I ended up at Mills I started in the poetry program. Okay. And I quickly realized that though I'm poetic and love poetry, that I actually really loved prose and nonfiction kind of using my real life and my own story to kind of answer life's larger questions. There are things that happen to us that we couldn't, if we wrote it in a fictional book, it would, we would feel like that's overwritten or that can't possibly happen. And yet it does. I mean, even take everything that we're going through these years, right? If you could write a pandemic, what it would look like, everything we've had to go through, the perseverance of artists, the loss, and also just the continual joy, that would be something that we could hardly imagine, and yet it's true. So that's sort of my love of nonfiction comes from that. And it sort of extends outward because I feel that like one of my life's purposes is to kind of really be interacting with other people's life stories and their artistry. And that's part of what really motivates me for my own life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been saying that a lot, that's what we've turned to in these times is art, music. You know, sometimes it's just in the background. Sometimes it's in the forefront. You know, it's helping us get connected more as humans. Sometimes we also need that disconnection, that fantasy life to imagine the worlds that we would like to live in, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then I think this is also how we sort of know each other is, I mean, being in the Bay Area, being in similar kind of writing scenes. I also went to Mills, but I might have gone a little bit after you, I think. But I remember you doing an event at SOMARTS. I think there was an exhibit portion of it, but there was it might have been part of Day of the Dead. There used to be like a poetry or creative writing kind of event that you did, and I just remember. I mean, I remember like the fashion. There's, I don't know, like you have a certain style that and I just always remember your face and yeah, and that you are someone that not only writes, but you bring other people together. You've had that kind of, I don't know if it's the big sister energy, the family, but also growing up in San Francisco. So tell me a little bit about some of these projects that you've done where you've also curated.
Well, so that what you're talking about was Gathering the Embers, which was actually my start in curation. My sister Amanda Vigil and I curated, and it was a funny story because we always saw the Dia de los Muertos events at Soma Arts and just loved them. We grew up making altars in my family. My dad passed away when I was 17, and so it's a tradition that's been embedded. And I approached Renee Yanez, and I said, I see that you have this exhibit. I'd love to read a poem or a story or something in the literary event. For some reason, I thought there was one. And he said, well, there isn't one, but do you want to put it on? And you can just, you have 4 weeks, go. And I had no idea what it would take to curate, bring artists together, putting together the arc of a show, the production, Q to Q, all of it. And luckily my sister Amanda has a lot of those skills, and we had the confidence from him and the backing to do this. And it became something that was, the multimedia performance event that was alongside for 5 years, the yearly show. And that's kind of when that all started. So I have the wonderful experience of also not just being a writer and being an arts administrator, but knowing what it takes to put together shows like that. And then from there, I was able to really build on that for Still Here.
That's awesome. I mean, Renee Yanez, rest in peace. He definitely is someone who has encouraged, and he is like the godfather of curation in San Francisco. He's connected a lot of really beautiful people. So I'm so glad. I was trying to figure out how we met or how we knew each other. And that was one of the memories that you had. You were telling me that I don't know, I didn't get to hear the full story. How do you remember us meeting?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I remember being at Mission Cultural Center and you read a poem, and it was so beautiful that it really struck me to my core. And so I went up to you afterwards and said, oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. I loved it. And I felt sort of shy, but I always remember you from that. So it's kind of amazing that our memories of meeting each other have to do with seeing the artistry that we've created. I just love that. And I feel like I have a larger network and kind of vibrant community that is connected to seeing people's events and shows, hearing like your writing and vulnerability. And that's something that I've really missed during this time, and a piece of myself that I also have missed tapping into. So it's pretty wonderful, again, that we have shows like Live and Queer and other ways to be able to connect to each other.
Yeah. Oh, this is just like a big old love fest, and we both have like fabulous lipstick on. Let me just retouch there. Oh, so goofy. But yeah, I mean, I super appreciate that, because not everybody does have, like the energy or the know-how to put themselves out there. And a lot of the things that we've been involved in have been kind of like that at the beginning, where it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so we needed to make that space by just doing and learning by doing. And yeah, and so that leads me to another one of your events that when I from seeing you before in that in those earlier events to Still Here from San Francisco, which ended up being an anthology, and you worked with Christina Mitra. And then you guys were even named like local heroes by the Human Rights Commission in 2017 for this work about Still Here. Can you tell me a little bit about Still Here and how it's
Sure.
grown?
Still Here is an intergenerational cultural preservation project that's amplifying the voices of LGBTQIA Two-Spirit folks that grew up in San Francisco. And the idea is to really make visible our stories.
Yeah.
We have actually opened up to include elders who have been in the
Oh,
Bay
okay.
for a really long time. And so when you're
Okay.
looking at folks that have been in San Francisco, say, arriving here, as a teenager, early 20s, and now they're in their
Yeah.
60s and 70s, like we are claiming them as
Okay.
one of
Yes.
us.
I'll be one of
And
those people in,
yeah, you will.
20 or something years. Yeah,
A
exactly.
long time, a long
You're
time.
right.
So my best friend Christina Mitra and I, we founded Still Here, and it was from going to the National Queer Arts Festival, actually.
Ah,
And we were all psyched to be like, oh, we're going to see some San Francisco stories. And, just kind of having been from here,
yeah.
thought that there was going to be like an overwhelming amount of voices of queer people and trans people that grew up here.
Yeah.
And then we just saw that it was sort of smattered, sprinkled around, and realized like, actually, we'd really like to see that. And so we went through the Creating Queer Community program to have our first ever show.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, we can make this happen. And that first show was with folks who were born and raised in San Francisco and still living in San Francisco, which was quite a task to find
Yeah, you
folks.
you all are like unicorns, right? I mean,
Yeah.
some people think I'm from here. I am from all over California, but and I've been here quite a long time, but to be actually born in the Bay and to be able to live, struggle, make art, and survive and thrive is a whole nother thing.
There were
So,
8 folks in that first show, and now we're actually about to have our 10th anniversary in
oh my
September.
God.
And I mean, it's amazing because most of the folks that I know through Still Here, and, they're in the numbers 50s, 80s, like so many people are not people I knew before we founded Still Here San Francisco.
Okay.
And so we got together through the organization and telling our stories. It was pretty amazing. And so I think of that when, folks are sort of like, we're unicorns or we're not here. Like we're here, we're still here. We have our San Francisco, and it's just growing and growing every year.
That's so good to hear because we often only hear about, the struggles or, people being pushed out or gentrification or, even folks losing their homes and stuff. And so in the backdrop of those stories, there's also people making beautiful art that is entertaining and thoughtful. And yeah, I remember being in one of those shows and just loving not only what was on stage, what people were sharing, the images that people shared along with their stories, and then just, yeah, I miss being able to look around the room and seeing all the beautiful faces in the audience responding and reacting to that. So it was definitely one of those shows that it was like, of course this should exist. And I was just so, just so happy to see it and witness it and that it's still ongoing, that you've also published a collection so that, those that can't see the live version of it get to, share those stories still in other ways.
Yeah, I think we had the first ever nonfiction, BIPOC anthology with writing from folks who were all born or raised here, and that was a really significant thing. It's available through Foglifter Press.
Oh, that's a great press.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it's like to put together an anthology.
It's hard. I mean, it's like herding cats sometimes. Sometimes it's magical. There's magical moments, right? And just, being able to put the final edits and pressing send and getting it out there. And it's just, I think, probably the best part is when people get to see their own writing, have it in their hands, and also, the sharing of where that work goes. Yeah. Is there any? Oh yeah. Tell me more.
One of the things that project I'm really excited about right now is that Still Here has partnered with the Queer Ancestor Project for a 14-week workshop series called Kaleidoscope, and it's for transitional aged youth, age 18 to 26. And the Still Here artists are leading the workshops. And so it's this beautiful intergenerational thing where Still Here itself was already intergenerational. We had folks 20s and 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And now since we are, getting a little older, we're 10 years later and now getting to connect with the transitional aged youth who are growing up here and cultivating the next generation of writers. So that's really powerful. And we're in the middle of that right now. And there'll be a reading in August. So I encourage folks to really check that out. Lots of fun stuff.
That's so great. Like being able to cultivate your own work, giving back, incorporating elders as well. I mean, because sometimes we get kind of stuck in our little pockets, and I'm excited to see like the outcome of that. But I also imagine it's also just the actual process of itself, in and of itself. I mean, it's what they produce and what they share, but also just that mentorship, that creative energy being exchanged. That just sounds so great that, it's kind of transforming and shifting in that way. So is that the one that's called the Kaleidoscope series?
Yeah, the Kaleidoscope Workshop series. And Tina Bartolome is leading the artist, and the teaching artists are Mason J, Tina Valentina Aguirre, Tania Lunsford Links, and Vero Mahano. So it's a great group of artists that are working with a wonderful group of 10 youth. So
that's amazing. And well, I tried really hard to dig up some dirt on you. Either there's no dirt on you, or the secret society is really tight. But the one thing I did hear is that you've had a lot of different types of jobs, and some that are ones we've talked about. But I want to know, what about your time working at the Beanie Baby cart in Stonestown Mall? Can you tell me any important?
I love that this is what you're bringing up. I thought you were going to bring up working for the Archdiocese of San Francisco. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. No, I didn't. But either one of those, it sounds like, I need the tea. I want to know what you've learned that you brought to these jobs today, or the work that you do.
I got to work at the Beanie Baby cart in the height of Beanie Baby fandom.
Okay.
And, every morning when I would go on the weekend, have my shift, I actually had 3 jobs at that time. So I was going to school, high school, working the Beanie Baby cart. I was also selling clothes at a store called Dharma on Haight Street. Yes. And I was also a museum ambassador at the DeYoung Museum. So essentially I was sort of like, early days of me having all these different things that I was doing. Yeah. But I will say, I remember when Princess Di passed away, and the Princess Beanie Baby, who was a purple bear with a little pink rose, came out, and there was a line.
Oh, wow.
People were ready to, clamor over each other as I'm unlocking and unveiling the Beanie Baby cart to buy her. Yeah.
Wow. So you've dealt with crowds, you've dealt with like madness. I mean, all of that. I absolutely could see how that would be useful skills that you bring today. I'm glad you don't have to do as many jobs though. But yes, so I mean, yeah, the one thing about working at a mall that it just makes me think of pink lemonade.
Oh yeah,
Pink
and a hot dog on a stick.
hot dog on a stick,
Yeah.
and angel baby teas and blue roses. So I don't know if that rings a
I
bell.
was known for wearing angel baby tees. I loved blue roses because they didn't exist. And, I had this awesome idea that I would pair the Beanie Baby tee with some skirts and my winter ball heels because that just made sense, early femme days. So I was trying to figure out what my look was before
Yeah,
I discovered the bangs and the lipstick, which is, I feel like, my signature now.
Yes, absolute signature. And were you working that out too when you're working for the Archdiocese?
Oh, the Archdiocese was a little bit more of a compartmentalized life, yeah. But what I will say about that experience is, I was raised Catholic and then decided I didn't want really much to do with it. And after grad school, the recession hit and they needed someone to organize the ordination of deacons, which are like 1,500 person events. And so they hired me for a summer. I was, in the closet, and I organized that event and had a wonderful boss that was like, why don't you just like stay here until you find a job? And because the recession was there, I ended up being there for 5 years. And meanwhile, figuring out what it meant to be me and what it meant to be queer in the world, starting to pursue and think about gathering the embers and still here and things that we were talking about. And then also what it meant to be having a job where I, didn't feel that I could share that part of me. So I think after that, I really realized even more the importance of not having a compartmentalized self and getting to really be myself wherever I am and to move forward with jobs, being essentially kind of gay for pay for a decade since then. And really knowing the value of what that is like for our community to get to embody who we are, because I was there at the height of Proposition 8 and, and what that meant at that time to be there. So I think that's the ability for people to get to be their whole selves in all aspects of their lives is, getting emotional because I feel very serious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's why we appreciate you so much. And I hope that you were able to find the balance of, doing the work for the community, for, yourself, for your family, and also that you get to carve a little space out for your own art too. Is there anything else you want to share with us about, this time that you've been with QCC and, the relationships you've made or things you've learned? I mean, I'm trying to get the dirt and the tea.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Well, I would encourage folks to check out the National Queer Arts Festival June 9th till the 23rd. And there are a number of virtual events, and the in-person events are of all sizes. And I think one of the things that has been very powerful for me is even just talking about what we were saying, like being an artist and knowing what has gotten difficult about being able to have my own creativity just because of the way that the pandemic has impacted me. It's allowed me to really see like how incredible it is that any artists are creating art right now. And that, artists will it's at such the core of who we are, that folks will do it by any means necessary. And every single person has a story right now and has challenges. And yet there's just this incredible artistry that moves people, that moves us towards, I really feel like towards a just society. And that's no small thing. And the impact of it and importance of it isn't lost on me. And so I'd say like that's one of the things that I'm carrying with me now and, forevermore, really.
Thank you so much, Natalia. This was so much fun. I'm glad we got to talk about you since you're usually behind the scenes. And I'm super excited to see all the incredible stuff I know you're going to do. And I'll be sure to follow you on Instagram at nataliam.vigil to stay up to date. So that's a little hint for the rest of you all, don't forget to follow her.
Thanks, Maya. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the amazing stuff that you're going to do. And since you're kind enough to promo me, I'd like to promo you. Maya is going to run Unicorn Triggers, a writing workshop to get you going on June 18th as part of the National Queer Arts Festival. So make sure you follow her at Maya_Chapina on Instagram, or check out QCC's website for more details. And you can find links for everything in the description.
We also want to give a big thanks to all of you out there for making season 1 of Live and Queer so much fun. It's been a blast, and so do all the things like, comment, share, and subscribe so we can come back for a season 2. All right. This is Maya Chinchilla.
And I'm Natalia Vigil, and this is season 1 of Live and Queer.
Happy Pride, everyone!